Welcome to Presence. I'm Cindy, your host. This week, we are joined by two very special people, Prince Williams and Amanda Handler. Welcome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.
It is my honor and pleasure. Prince and Amanda are organizing TEDx San Luis Obispo. It's a really exciting event, not just because it's a TEDx event, but because there's a really beautiful theme, which is determination, which Amanda and Prince will talk about. In addition to that, it's just also a wonderful event because it's tapping in to the beautiful talent of the St. Louis Obispo area and
Yes.
California as a whole. And there's so much richness. With that said, everybody, let's give Prince and Amanda a warm welcome. Welcome one more time.
Thank you.
Let's just dive in. Who wants to go first?
Ladies
Prince.
first.
Ladies first. I love it.
I was going to suggest Prince because he's really the one that came to me with this idea. So it really originated with him. So I think it's more appropriate if he goes forth and sort of sets the scene.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for having us. And thank you, Amanda. What has happened is throughout the course of all of this developing, it became an idea probably about a year ago. I wanted to speak on my own. And I wanted to speak at a TEDx event. Actually, I wanted to speak at a TED event. That led to a TEDx event because you have to have X amount of experience going into a TED, the bigger event. And so I looked up the process. I saw what the rules were. I saw what the qualifications needed to be. And I went through the process of trying to apply for the TED event or the TEDx events myself. Well, I didn't even get a call back. As you can imagine, Cindy, as you've gone through this process
Yes.
is hit or miss. If you do get a response, it's probably not very much or very short. And most of the time people, even with this event, people are already have somebody in mind. So I found this out throughout kind of, shooting it out there, putting it out there. And I say, well, hey, why don't I just put on my own event?
Exactly, right? So there's nothing preventing you, and it's such a great
No.
idea. But
Yeah.
Prince, if we may backtrack a little bit. So, this seed of hosting your own TEDx event started because you decided you wanted to do a talk. And there's a reason for that. You are a coach at St. Louis Obispo at Polytech, but you're also a motivational speaker. You're also a mentor. You're also an inspirational keynote speaker and more. Can you tell us a little bit about that so that we understand you and your why in terms of this TEDx talk?
I've always had this gift of speaking, which is so funny because I don't talk very much. You can't, but once you get me, talking, especially about something that I'm passionate about, I will talk your ear off forever. But yeah, I have a background in sports, athletic training specifically, in at various levels of athletics. I've mentored hundreds, if not thousands, of student athletes, and I've been involved in some cultivation of young people. So I've always had a message, and I've always had a lot of people kind of look up to me, and I've been always pretty high energy, high driven,
Mhm.
very anxious, and so I didn't always knew what that looked like as far as getting my message across.
Right.
And then it didn't really take shape until a couple of years ago, where I don't know, I got a few more gray hairs in my beard. People started seeking me out for wisdom. I don't know what that's about, but I got asked to be a part of some organizations, some events,
Mhm.
and one of the events led to me being a keynote speaker. And throughout the process of delivering my message and getting that across, it dawned on me. It was very clear and it was very apparent. Because sometimes what happens is, you know, I don't know what anybody believes, so I'm not going to get all woo woo, but God puts us in positions where you may not always know what the scope and the magnitude of where he's trying to take you, sometimes you have to just put one foot in front of the other. And as it unfolds, it becomes very clear to you. And that's what happened in me. The message became very clear about what I need to be doing and where I need to be putting my energy and my focus. So I shifted gears. And like I said, that led me to one thing, and that one thing led to another, which has led to us saying, me and the team saying, hey, why don't we just do this together and make it happen? Which is actually a funny part of the story is that's how I came to the name of determination. I was like, that's it right there.
Yeah, well, it does take a lot of determination to stay on the path, a lot of determination to organize an event of this magnitude, but it also connects us to this broader scope of determination in terms of our own individuality and our goals and the messages that, we know are here to create impact and positive change in the world. So I'm grateful that you stay determined because I have the honor of also being one of your speakers at this event. I also think it's really quite nice for our viewers and listeners to have a sense of the backdrop, right? It doesn't just magically happen. Like you said, sometimes one event leads to the other, whatever you believe in, whether it's source, spirit, universe, or just luck. You do get put in these situations where we're shown where our gifts are, and you have that gift of bringing people together and moving them forward. So I'm personally grateful, and I'm really glad that you went forward with organizing this event and that you continue your work as an athletic coach, but also as a mentor and speaker. So I think it is wonderful and a treat for us to be doing this event, but also learning from your journey and your determination and grit to get us here. So thank you, Prince.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And Amanda, so you
Yeah.
came on board as part of this event.
Mhm.
And for the people that don't know you, you are an event planner, but you're also quite central to the central coast of California, which is where St. Luis Obispo is at. And I would love for you to share with us a little bit about yourself and
Yeah.
how you and Prince connected to be co-organizers.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Very excited to be, sort of co-curating this event with Prince and our other friends and partners. I'm really happy to have you as one of our speakers. It's actually kind of a funny little story. So Prince and I are neighbors.
Oh,
And I think I
fun.
was just walking by one night and he said something about, hey, you're an event planner, right? I'm doing this TEDx event at Cal Poly and, I need some help. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm in. And that it
That's
really was
exactly how it
that
happened.
simple. Yeah.
Wow. But I
So,
think that also what's quite interesting for the people that who do not know you, Amanda,
yeah.
is that you have a history of a lot of community involvement. So it's not just about planning an event, but actually really being engaged with community and
Yeah.
helping people shine because, you and I have had the opportunity to talk on a one-on-one basis. And one of the things that you shared with me is that you've been part of boards and a lot of community outreach. So it seems like it's a really wonderful way to bridge your career and your business as an event planner, but also, you know, building community, engaging with community and helping to elevate the
Yeah.
people that are not only a part of this event, but attending this event.
Yeah. And I think for me, I really have prided myself on being a connector first and
Mhm.
foremost in throughout my life. I've been running my own event planning company for 12 years now, and prior to that I worked in corporate events. But really at my core, I'm a connector. I really want to connect people with resources, with tools that can help them learn and grow and sort of live their best life, whatever that looks like for anybody. So I love mentoring. I love getting involved in the community. I love just really connecting all of the sort of moving parts and pieces and all the dots, to put that puzzle together. So that's the piece that's really sort of drives me. I'm very ambitious, I'm very determined, I'm very driven, but it's all because of that sense of like, I have to connect with people, I have to connect other people to other people, and I have to find ways to make things work. That's at the core of who I am. And it's really been sort of the underlying force of everything that I've done in my, 20 plus career in, marketing and public events and, all that sort of stuff. So this is, I think, in a lot of ways, the culmination of a lot of those things coming together, me being really connected in this community and bringing the right parts and pieces and people together, but also seeing what everyone else's goals are and trying to bring all of that together into one, big event that really makes an impact on people that day and also moving forward. I sort of see this as a launching point for a lot of people to do something different with their lives. And if you just give them the little seeds to start planting, things start to grow. So I'm really excited about all of that.
Wow.
Seeing other people make those connections and grow.
Right. And it's really exciting to see the synergy of
Mm.
how this is evolving and how serendipitous or maybe divine planning behind,
Yes.
in the background in terms of both of you being neighbors. I
Yes.
mean, what were the chances of that? So it does feel in a sense as if there was some type of
Yes.
otherly divine force bringing us all together for this wonderful event. So it's really quite exciting.
Mhm.
So I'd like to ask you how this theme of determination evolved. So I understand that, Prince, earlier you said, okay, I was determined to make it happen. That's going to be the theme. But beyond the word itself, determination, there's a very specific definition that you have created for this event. So, can you tell us about how you are defining determination within the context of this event? And how do you see the speakers weaving in and out within this theme of determination?
As you probably know and understand, that TED has a very specific mm, way that they want their platform to be projected out to everybody. So first and foremost, we have to stick to their platform and their planning in which they want all this to kind of what it looks like. It wants to be a little bit more uniform. So we first had to start at that level, and then we wanted to go with diversity. And as you can see, I'm a very diverse.
All of the speakers are, and it was
No,
very
yeah, they are. Yeah, they
and
absolutely
and
are.
and it was very organic the way it came out. It wasn't like premeditated in the sense of I need to need X number of women, X number of men. It just was very organic because
Yes.
you had this consciousness of doing an impactful talk, following, the guidelines, but also letting your leadership guide the way in terms of how this was developed and
Mhm.
speakers chosen. So it feels like it was very organic and not necessarily pushed, even though you're following a certain rubric and platform.
It is, or it has been very organic, and that's part of the beauty, even kinda, circling back to me and Amanda being neighbors, really just how she described is exactly how it happened, and I was really just throwing I was just throwing bait out there, hoping to get a hook, you know, known Amanda for years just in passing, and as soon as that happened and she said, "Yes, I'm in," Claude, her significant other, he was like, I'm in. And then we all just really just kind of connected, bonded, and became friends. And so throughout this process, we started to define what roles each one of us are going to do.
Hmm.
And they felt like, hey, you're more connected to the speaker. So I started getting to work kind of trying to find and put together this speaking list. And let me tell you, it wasn't hard at all.
So I think
They come knocking at your door for sure.
wow. But
But
I do think that there is an element of wisdom and thoughtfulness that came with that
yes,
selection. Even though they've knocked at your door, I think we
Hmm.
do have to recognize the labor of love that you have put into selecting your speakers.
everybody that I've brought on, I felt like very connected to. And one of the things that was always floating in the back of my mind as I was going through and picking the people that I was asking and also sorting through the people who were emailing me and DMing me was I wanted to get people who didn't necessarily have the platform. I wanted
Hmm.
to help them, gain a platform.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, most of the people on the speaking list, they have a tremendous amount of potential.
Mhm.
They're high level. I feel extremely confident. Everybody that's going to be on there, I think, is going to deliver an amazing message, but not necessarily, there may not be an established speaker yet.
Mm.
And after this, I wanted to show the world like, hey, this is what we're doing in this area. And
Hmm.
we got some really phenomenal people out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I may interject for a quick second, Prince, I really like what you said about giving people an opportunity. Now, I've seen who the other speakers are, and they're all incredibly accomplished individuals. Every single one of them are incredibly accomplished, just really have a strong sense of self, a strong sense of what it is that they want to parlay to people. But sometimes, even when you have an incredible background, you need somebody to say yes.
Hmm.
You need somebody to say to you, yes. And you always remember your first yes. And it is such a wonderful way to elevate people because part of what I believe is good leadership is not just clapping and hurrahing the established people, but also giving a voice to those that haven't been established yet in a new way. So everybody on the list is very much so established in their fields, very recognized. But as you said, this is their first TEDx talk, their first, big speech in that sense. So I do think that there's something quite beautiful that shouldn't be underestimated. And it's something that I talk about in a slightly different context in my own speech is this idea of seeing the potential in people, especially maybe the people that it isn't always obvious in. So I think that that's something quite beautiful and special about TEDx San Luis Obispo, particularly when circling back to something you mentioned earlier, is that sometimes some talks already have some predetermined people in
Mhm.
advance, and yours did not. And it felt that it was very equitable in the sense that, yes, people came knocking at your door, but you're giving people an opportunity. And that, I think, is just really a sign of strong leadership, is this idea of, yes, I'm gonna see what kind of opportunities we can create and how we can elevate together. So I think that it's not just a strong way to lead, but it's also a good way to have those human connections because it's not about what's in it for me. It's about what are we doing together?
Yeah.
Right,
And there's magic
Yeah.
right.
and I think that's what's gonna make St. Louis Obispo's, TEDx event incredible.
We have no doubt that it's going to be a phenomenal event.
Hmm.
I think There's a lot of buzz going on right now. Like I said, the speakers are phenomenal. And so each one of the speakers are going to bring their people and their crowd along with them. So, with that and the buzz in the community, there's been TEDx here before.
Mhm.
And there's been some groundwork that's been laid, but mostly through the student population.
Mhm.
So the adults are now taking over.
Right. Mm.
And we're going to hopefully take this on not only now, but into the future.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Amanda, how do you feel inspired? How do you feel full of energy, energized when you think about how all of this is organically developing and the fact that you get to have such a pivotal role in this event?
It's exciting for me. I'm used to doing all different kinds of events, but this is really kind of the first event of this kind that I'm taking on in quite some time. So I'm really excited about that variety and sort of what that brings into the mix. Meeting some new people in our community and in other communities, bringing people into the community to show them what's so special about, this place that Prince and I get to call home. Great weather most of the year and beautiful scenery and just a lot of vibrance in this community. A lot of vibrance, a lot of talent, a lot of knowledge and experience and wisdom, you had mentioned earlier. You never know what someone else is going through or has been through in their life. And so that's the exciting part for me is really sort of letting those people come into the mix to be able to share their own experiences with each other and with other people. As Prince mentioned, we've been neighbors for a number of years, but we never really had an opportunity to connect until recently. And
Mhm.
it just came about so organically, but we've learned so much about each other in, the last few months even.
Mm.
And I just am so excited about that opportunity for other people. You may have seen someone in passing or heard about someone in passing, or maybe you saw, something they did or read, part of their book to be able to really spend a little bit more time and dig in a little deeper and learn a little bit more. And then also to take that a step further and go, okay, how can their story help me in my life?
Mm.
How can their story inspire me in my life and the people around me, right? And the whole theme of determination, I think it's near and dear to Prince's heart. It's near and dear to my heart. I think just given the things that we've been through in our lives individually, it hits home. So I'm excited to hear how that applies in other people's lives and what they're doing with it and how they're able to impact other people. That's what gets me fired up and really excited about this whole concept.
Oh, I love it. And if I may
Yeah.
piggyback a little bit off of
Yeah.
something you said, you mentioned earlier, Amanda, that, you know, something that inspires you and motivates you
Mhm.
is this idea of listening to people's talk and their story and how that can inspire or motivate them or impact them or me or you or
Mhm.
any other person. And what I love about that is this idea of tapping into our shared humanity.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes, you know, life happens. And when life happens, sometimes we feel like we're alone,
Yes.
like outcasts, like, oh, this is only happening to me. And then we hear somebody whose story might not be identical to ours,
Mhm.
but we see that they've had their ups and downs, that they've had to be determined in order to persevere, that
Yeah.
they've had challenges, that no, their life was not perfectly cookie cutter, even though on the outside it seems that way. And because of said experiences, it's brought them to where they're at. And so, what is there to say that somebody who might be going through a challenge can't get to that place as well?
Right.
Or maybe somebody who has a wonderful idea saying, oh, well, if this person shared their idea, I can share my idea too. And I think
Right.
that that's what's so great about the TED and TEDx platform is that it involves stories, and it is those stories that remind us about our humanity. And when
Yes.
we're connected to our humanity, which is something that I'm very passionate about, is this idea of our shared humanity,
Mhm.
then magic is created. That's how you're able to be an effective mentor and coach and inspirational speaker, Prince. That's how you're able to create incredible events, right? It's through this idea of how are we connected, right? So you talked about being a connector.
Mhm.
And it is through inspirational stories that are sometimes unexpected that we have those moments of connection, especially when we hear the cadence of somebody's voice, when we see the look in their eyes when they share a certain experience and their ideas on how we can create positive impact. So to me, that's very, very exciting. And I really like this theme of determination because it's really binding an incredibly diverse set of speakers who have been determined through life's little hiccups and ups and downs to get to where they're at. So, with that said, can either one of you tell us a little bit about the speakers, some teasers, something, to look forward to?
Maddie, you want to go?
You go. You're a little bit more intimately involved with the speakers. I'm a little more intimately involved with the logistics. So I'm getting to know everybody that's on the speaking agenda. But Prince is really the one that, knows everybody kind of firsthand and a little bit more personally. So,
We have, like I said, we have a diverse group of speakers from various backgrounds. Some are very similar, some are, but similar in different ways. Uh, Two of the speakers are actually a couple. They're going to be married actually the month after.
Wow. Wow.
And it is so funny. They're super cute together. So if you guys see this, I said that. Yes. They're a power couple, both of them, and they're really young.
Mhm.
They're in their early 30s, and both of them are very strong-willed and have a lot of education. She's a PhD in sports psychology, and he is in a role where he is the main guy or one of the main people for Cal Poly athletics, Cal Poly football, which we're growing and we're expanding. We're attached to a lot of things in the community just because of the Madden Center that's being built. So he's kind of spearheading that project, and together they have a synergistic thing that they have going on, and they're absolutely amazing together. So just kind of seeing them interact and feed off each other has been kind of funny for me. At the same time, we've become closer as friends.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, I know. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see that tandem and how they feed off each other. And then the one person that I'm excited about all of them, but the one person I'm just fanboying about it is because she flies the Apaches. Has no other reason. Other than Apache.
You know what? That's some
Uh-huh.
serious, not only professional credibility, but that's some street creds there,
Yeah.
as we would
Yeah.
say, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm a military brat. So I grew up a military kid. So just right off the back, I have a connection with anything
Right.
military. So, and her being a woman and being in that role, and it's kind of it's just one of those things you just really get really excited about. You got just goosebumps even thinking about it,
I love it.
just hear her message. So just really excited about her and what she's going to bring to the table and how she's going to kind of lead off and kind of deliver her message, which I think is perfectly designed for this event.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I'm just giving you guys just a little synopsis of the key ones,
Mhm.
but everybody has an amazing. We got a marketing person that's involved. We got a radio personality type guy that's involved. So as this unfolds in the next few months, because I'm gonna have them on my podcast, Cindy, you're gonna be on my podcast next. and getting to know these people is going to be interesting because, I'm the MC, and so I get to introduce them.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, and I think it's very exciting to get these little teasers, if you
Mhm.
will. And just for our listeners and viewers, for those of you who follow us on YouTube, I will be adding the speakers' names to the YouTube description. In terms of our other platforms on Apple and Spotify, I don't think I have the space to add everybody, but for those of you that do follow us on YouTube, everybody's name will be on there so that you can start to scope them out. In addition, a couple of them will also be on the podcast. They're not going to give their talk on the podcast because that's reserved for the TEDx talk.
Yeah.
Right.
But they'll
Just
give
a
us a little
teaser.
just a teaser. They'll give us a little bit of a teaser in terms of who they are, their background, and the ideas that, they are spreading in order to create a better, more impactful world. So the information will be provided there. So,
Yeah, one thing I want to add, Cindy, as well, is this is the whole overall arching theme of determination fits everybody that's involved. The whole innovation and everybody coming together against, all these different things, these just
Mhm.
different dynamics. We all have these biases and opinions and the beliefs, myself included. I had to throughout this process, I had to kind of check myself at the door and really sit down and say, "Hey, what's the mission, and who do I think is going to fit in the group?"
mm,
That was part of the organizational process. Like,
mhm,
I mean, I've sat down with Claude and Amanda, and I've asked them the same question. This is how we
Yeah.
came to, especially the last couple people that we chose. Um, we sat down and we came to a meeting of minds, and who's going to fit. You know, we kind of have an idea who's going to say what, and from there, how can we expand that? That's kind of the process.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's something that I've personally appreciated, Prince and Amanda, about this process is that, there was this element of taking the time to get to know us, even if it was just one call, because everybody's schedule is busy,
Mm.
in
Yeah.
terms of getting to know us and who we are on a human level. Because one of the things that we see is that, these talks have become quite popular
Mhm.
and many people want to be a part of them, rightfully so.
Yes.
But there seems that at times, it can be either predetermined in terms of who is going to be on, or there seems to be an element of riding a certain wave of ideas or things that are part of a popular thought. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's perfectly great.
Right.
It is not a critique in any way, shape, or form. It is an observation. What I found personally empowering and unique was this idea of, okay, we could follow that format, which works perfectly well, or we can really get to the heart of who people are. We can
Mhm.
really get to the heart of who they are and what their message is. And maybe the messages are different, maybe they're similar, but there seems to be this overarching connecting umbrella of people with a lot of heart energy. And without getting into anything that sounds woo woo, when I mean
Yeah.
heart energy, I mean people that are really grounded in who they are in
Yeah.
terms of being a good human who wants to genuinely help people,
Yes.
empower people, through their humanity. So I have personally found that this leadership approach that you all have taken in the speaker selection, in the theme, and how you're moving forward is really quite empowering and
Mm.
elevating. And it's such a a treat and a joy to be part of this specific style and or format of bringing together this event. So I'm personally, quite grateful for myself, but I also think the other speakers most likely feel the same way.
Yeah. And that makes my heart happy, right? Because that's where that desire to connect people really comes into play. It's like,
Mhm.
yes, we're doing something right. We're taking our gifts and our talents and we're putting them to good use. And even just with this, we're already making a difference in at least one person's life.
Mm.
That's the gold nugget. That's what makes my heart happy.
Nice, nice. So, aside from everything that we've talked about so far, what is something that we haven't mentioned yet, or you haven't mentioned yet, that has you really excited, kind of giddy and childlike? And the reason I say giddy and childlike is because when we have that type of excitement,
Mhm.
somehow that childlike energy brings in motivation and action in a different way than a more cerebral type of energy.
I think for me, it's meeting all of our speakers in person,
Mm,
right? It's seeing my friends and family and colleagues and business community and student population here in San Luis Obispo and from other places come together.
mhm,
Seeing all of those people come together in person, knowing all of the things going on behind the scenes leading up to that, that's the part that also lights me up. It's like I'm getting to know everyone behind the scenes. I'm reading through everybody's bios as I'm posting them on the website. I'm watching people's, listening to their podcasts and reading their books. And, I'm really getting to know everybody on that level. And, in a couple short months, I get to meet everybody in person for the first time and see how all of that really comes together and creates that synergy that we're hoping to create, that we've been looking
mhm.
for. So that's what kind of gives me like butterflies. It's like event
Nice.
day,
Event
showing up
day.
and seeing it all come together. That's like the butterflies in my stomach.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Prince?
Uh, I think I have to echo that as well. I'm just excited to kind of get everybody all in the same venue. I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to bring us all together, and we're all going to be friends even through this event, and probably after the event. It's really kind of brought us, like as you said, brought us that heart energy together, which I love your descriptors. Absolutely love them because
Yeah.
as you can, and I was thinking it in my mind. So I was like, is she reading my mind right now?
I have super telepathy powers.
Yeah,
I'm just
same.
I'm just
We're all on
kidding.
the same page.
I think it's just
which
I
which flows into that whole process of synergy. This has
yeah.
all kind of been organic and very synergistic at the same time. It's actually blowing my mind how I don't want to say it's easy. It's not easy by no means, but just how well this is coming together, how it's flowing together.
Mm,
And that's how you know when you're doing this is what gets me excited because I'm already getting excited. But this is how you know when you're doing something right. It's when you get into that flow state.
right. Absolutely. And I think that going back to the joke about reading your mind, I think what it also really is that moment where you feel the authentic connection with people. So it feels like you're reading somebody's mind, but it's really more that you're connecting authentically.
Right.
We're being our true authentic selves. And when that space is created, then we're just our beautiful selves. So
Mhm.
then the flow is there, the conversation is there, and the ideas are there. So therefore, the talks will be there, right? Because
Yeah.
it seems like if
Right.
everybody has a beautiful type of very authentic energy, and that's something that drew me to this event. There's so many events that get listed, and when I saw the San Luis Obispo, I had this kind of gut feeling in the pit of my stomach, said, I'm gonna reach out to Prince. And it was again, it was one of those things that sometimes you can't explain, but maybe, you're being divinely, guided, to connect with authentic, heart-based people who really are genuinely invested in elevating people to their maximum potential, which is what you do as a coach, correct?
Mhm.
I
Like, you know, keep it in the same vein of that, like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. So, and I believe that wholeheartedly, when you're moving in a certain direction, you need to surround yourself around people who are also thinking and moving in that same direction. And I believe that what's happened here is, as you said, you got that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Well, I got that same feeling on the other end, kind of when you out and I'm responding. Well, throughout that process, I was still trying to figure it out myself.
Mhm.
So I was back and forth. I was like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm gonna get back to you. But I always in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to her because I really believe that she's gonna be pivotal and kind of thrusting us forward and look at where it's taken us already.
uh,
Um, yeah. So I mean, we are energetic beings, and when you put something out into the universe, you can't help but to get it back.
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely, and with that said, we don't wanna give too much away
You're
because
right.
we
You're
want
right.
to encourage people to come to this event. Really, truly, it's going to be amazing. So, I like I said, for our YouTube viewers, I will be adding this in the description, but for our listeners
Mhm.
in our other platforms, can you tell us where people can go to get more information on this event?
Yeah, Prince, I'll jump in.
Please.
So yeah, so you can search for the event on the TED website. We also have our own page up, and there is a ticket link from the Performing Arts Center at Cal Poly as well. So the exact link, and you can probably put this in your information, is TED.com/TEDx/event/55544. So the event ID is 55544. And on that website, you'll find more information about all of our speakers. Everyone's got a bio. You can learn a little bit more about Prince and me. You can purchase tickets through a link on that website. They will go on sale January 31st.
Mhm.
So just a little over a week away. And you can also follow us on Insta, TEDx_San Luis Obispo. That will get you all of the information, all the teasers, all of the special, exciting stuff. Each of our speakers, it's going to take over a day of our Insta, so you can get to know a little bit more about them throughout the process as well. So, yeah, those are all the links and the things.
And I would really recommend for the people who are going to attend the event to buy your ticket early.
Yeah,
Yes.
Buy
we do anticipate selling out. Even the student-run TEDx's previously here in San Luis Obispo have come close to selling out. So we do anticipate selling out. And once it's sold out, that's it. Then you're just going to have to tune in online and watch it there, in the future. And, as you know, these will live on, for many, many years to come online. But I think just really, doing your best to get in, get early, get your ticket, be here in person. I don't think you want to miss the energy and the synergy that is going to be created at this event in that room. So definitely want to get everyone to purchase their tickets early and, give us a sellout situation. That's exciting.
absolutely, absolutely, and I like what you said, Amanda, is to just really be there in person for the synergy. Obviously, all of the talks will be recorded and, once they've been processed and edited, they become available,
Hmm.
for the general public. And even though it's always wonderful to have that video to be able to revisit the talk, there's just something very special about when you're in the room and you feel the energy, you feel the momentum of the speaker, of the events, of the MC. And not only that, but how everybody compliments one another and is in conversation with one another, which is not something that you can get on watching videos separately. But when you are there for the entire event with all the speakers, you say, aha, I understand now why determination was the theme and how everything came together. And that's part of what makes an event like this so special. So I know that I definitely, need to get a couple of tickets for my family and friends.
Yeah, and I think, too, the other part of that, right, is making those genuine connections with other people in person
Mhm.
and then being able to follow up and continue to build those relationships as you move forward in your life. Whether you're local or, from different parts of the country, wherever everybody is coming from, when you meet all of those other people in person and exchange that energy and information, and then you can go out and continue to be a part of each other's lives. I think that's really the most special part about all of this is really bringing people together in person and virtually. And, it's our hope that people then again go on and continue those connections and, build those relationships because it's like those little drops in the water, like one drop, which it kind of spreads out. So you're meeting one or two people at the event and then they're meeting two or three other people at the event and so on and so forth. So, you never know where that connection is going to come into play as you move throughout your life.
Oh, I love it. I'm very excited, and I would love to just one more time say thank you, Prince. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us today, sharing your soul, sharing your spirit, your leadership, and telling us more about this event. Is there any last thing you'd like to share with our guests before we call it a day?
Definitely stay tuned. We have a lot more planned, a lot more
Yeah.
coming, not only independently, but also with the TED platform.
Mhm.
And we got big plans as far as what we want to do with that. So stay tuned because this is really just a catalyst for bigger and better things going into the future.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, once again, thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Please be sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, to read through all of the information in the descriptor. If you're listening to us on one of the other audio platforms, you can always go to my website, cindyurrutia.com, which part of our closing outro for the podcast, and you'll find more information there. And I will be sharing the links to everything in terms of the TEDx link, which Amanda shared with us, the Instagram, all the other speaker information. So I am also going to be part of this bandwagon and helping to get this information out because in my heart, I believe in this event and the power of all of the speakers and in the power of your leadership, Prince and Amanda. So once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.